Hello friends and fellow VEDSies, welcome to day 3 of VEDS. It has taken me only 3 days and I am already talking about Kiss. It's happening. As I mentioned in my first video this month, we're videoing or vlogging every day in September, for those of you who are wondering. For my very first introductory video, I mentioned that I'm back on the Kiss hyperfixation phase, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about this big last tour they're on, the End of the Road World Tour, and what it means to me. Kiss have been around for freaking ever, if you can believe it. This is their 51st year out on the road and touring, and allegedly their last. Again, if you believe the hype. It's supposed to all end on December the 2nd in New York City. As much as I've considered it, I am not flying all the way to New York City. That is very far from where I am. But I have bought tickets for 3 of the shows on this last U.S. leg of touring. I've bought tickets for the Hollywood Bowl, a show in Seattle, and a show in Vancouver. And I've literally struggled with buying tickets to their Palm Desert show and their Edmonton show. I'm not going to do it, but I've been thinking about it. I'm hoping someone comes up and offers me a gig for the day that Kiss is in Edmonton so that I can stop thinking about buying tickets to that one. Anyway, I said earlier, if you believe the hype. Now, 51 years is a really, really long time. The current band has 2 of the original 4 members who began Kiss in the 70s. It was originally Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss. It is now Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Tommy Thayer, and Eric Singer. But Gene and Paul, the original 2, when they started the band, like I said, over 50 years ago, they were 21 and 23, and now they're 71, and Gene has just turned 74. There's every reason to believe that they would, how many more years can you continue to tour? This is also not just a regular band. Take it from a guy who is so insane that I actually impersonate Kiss for a living, specifically Paul Stanley. Their shows are very exhausting. Gene wears like 40-50 pounds of armor. And has already one time this year, I hate to say, but he had to sit down for a couple songs because he got a little bit of heat exhaustion. Poor Gene. But yeah, some people don't believe that this is actually going to be their last tour, that they're just going to pop up with something new next year. But take a look at this clip from their press conference and let me know if this feels genuine.
Sometimes people think when you announce a farewell tour, it's kind of a ploy and you're going to do it again and again. Some bands have made careers of farewell tours. We've never said we were going to do this before. We looked at each other and had a heart-to-heart and thought, it's really time to end it, make it official, do a farewell tour, allow our fans to see us one last time.
This is the farewell tour. This is not a game. There will be no other. We want to make sure that the fans know we appreciate every one of our dreams coming true because of them. This farewell tour is for them. We'll see you out there.
See, it seems like they really are doing this whole retirement thing. Except when you consider one thing, and that's that video is actually from 23 years ago. Kiss did a farewell tour all the way back in the year 2000, where they told everybody, that's what that clip is from. That's actually the original lineup of Kiss with Ace and Peter. They told everybody that they were going to retire. Did a whole world tour, which Peter actually quit in the middle of. You can see more in my History series of a little bit more in-depth analysis of that tour. But within a year or 2 of that tour ending, Kiss were already announcing a new tour and further new tours ad nauseum until today. So Kiss fans have been burned before by buying a bunch of tickets to shows thinking they're never going to see the band again, and then them coming back next year. Now, the rhetoric that Kiss says now, Kiss are the only band, by the way, I swear to God, they're the only band in the world that creates these rhetorics and narratives. Their history is filled with all of these narratives that Gene and Paul have tried to create, that if you go through history, you're like, but is this for real or is this just your marketing pitch? But what Kiss has been saying lately is that they were getting tired of the band, and then eventually they realized they were only tired of 2 members, being Ace and Peter, who that original fearsome foursome have had their fighting for sure. And now with Eric and Tommy in the lineup, who are a bit younger than Ace and Peter, who, by the way, it is not lost on me that for a band doing the whole rock and roll lifestyle thing all the way back in the 1970s that it's pretty amazing that 50 years later the original four are even all still with us, but I'm thrilled that they are. There have been lots of talks as to whether, near the end of this tour, if there would be any sort of reunion with all four of the original members. At the beginning of the tour, I was convinced they would come back together for like one last show at the end of it all. And now they've started fighting again, and there's been threats of lawsuits back and forth, so I think Gene, Paul, and Tommy and Eric are going to just do it themselves. I honestly don't even think Ace and Peter are going to be guests at the last Madison Square Garden show on December 2nd, but I would love to be wrong about that. Here's a little clip from the band on America's Got Talent announcing this version of the farewell tour.
You guys are heading out on your end of the road farewell tour. How's that going to feel?
Well, this is going to be our last tour. It will be the most explosive, biggest show we've ever done. People who love us, come see us. If you've never seen us, this is the time. This will be the show.
Now here's the thing, even that clip was 5 years ago. Kiss have been on this version of the farewell tour for 5 whole years. So there's Kiss fans out there who are saying that this tour is just going on forever, that it's not a real farewell tour, they're just going to create new legs to the farewell tour and keep it going forever. I actually disagree with that point. When I became a Kiss fan, it was about 2006 or 2007. I was like 10 or 11 years old. I had always said I wanted them to make at least one new album, do a big tour for that album, and then when all was said and done, not to just retire quietly, but do a big full-scale tour one last time to say goodbye to all of us properly. So basically we knew when we were going to our last show and could be adequately emotional about it. And that's exactly what's happening. Kiss gave me more in their later years than I ever thought they would. 2008 was 15 years ago now, and it was the start of pretty much 15 years of constant touring for the band. I didn't expect they'd work this hard into their senior years, but here we are. But yeah, this farewell tour announced 5 years ago, and I was lucky enough to be at the very first show in Vancouver when it was all unveiled, January 31st, 2019, with a whole new stage set. As someone who obsesses over Kiss's live show, I can't tell you how exciting it was for me to be standing behind the big giant Kiss curtain and to not know what the stage behind it was going to look like until it dropped. I was on the floor near the front. It was freaking amazing. But in any case, yes, that was quickly approaching 5 years ago now. The original plan was for the tour to end July 17th, 2021. After 2.5 years of non-stop touring around the world, they were going to do one last show in New York. But we all know that 2020 and 2021 got a little bit messy. And as of March of 2020, like every other band in the universe, Kiss had to stop touring. A lot of their 2020 and 2021 tour dates wound up being postponed. And the band, instead of doing the big final show on July 17, 2021, actually wound up spending the majority of 2021 and 2022 just playing sort of made-up dates from the originals that had to be postponed, along with supplementing those with some like festival appearances and stuff. And then once all that was done, once the backlog of gigs that they had originally announced had finally been all rescheduled and played, by that point, that takes us to the fall of like 2022, and Kiss decided that they would book another year of tour dates and that it would truly be the last year, which I personally think is the right thing to do so that they're not going out just trying to make up postponed concerts, that they're doing one last real leg. I'm going to be there in the audience. I'm going to be vlogging it when that time comes in November. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. It's going to be weird after December 2nd comes around and there is no more actively live touring Kiss to cheer for. If there's Kiss fans watching this, let me know what you think Kiss are going to do in 2024 and beyond. Kiss have sort of flirted the idea that they may not actually be done, that they'll just be done touring, which opens up little possibilities, like will there be a Las Vegas residency show next year? Will there be like maybe a one-off at some festival? Those started with Desert Trip, and now there's Power Trip Festival, where AC/DC is coming out of retirement and stuff to play. Those festivals are being put on by Coachella. Who knows? Maybe Kiss will wind up on the bill at one of those in 2 or 3 years. Who knows? It's impossible to know exactly what they're going to do. Maybe Gene's going to tour around with his solo band. Maybe Paul's going to tour around with his side project, Soul Station. We just don't know. Let me know what you think about Kiss's future. Let me know in the comments if you're going to any of these last shows in the fall of 2023. And I will catch y'all again with a new VEDS video tomorrow and every day for the rest of this month. Thank you so much for watching.